This conference will now be recorded.
All right, perfect timing. Chad just popped up. We're ready to go. Welcome, week four of the Cram session. My name is Doug Baber. I'm the certification director for HR Florida, as well as the HR and Risk Management Director for St. Lucie County here in Florida. And I'm excited to have you guys here to keep continuing to further our profession. So we're hoping to get some more certified folks out of this group and get your name in a hat for a chance to win a $500 honorarium. We also, depending on the number that go in there, is how many that get pulled out of there. I know there might be a chance for 2. So we'll get to that a little bit later, but just as a reminder, if you're taking your test, make sure you turn your certification in so it can get turned into HR Florida to get put into the raffle. And then we'll do some shout outs for each one of you as you pass. So first things first, is anybody on the screen here got a test coming up this weekend or this week, or took one this past week, or is about to, or anybody in the group? All right, remember to mute your line if you're not going to speak. All right, next thing, we'll just move on. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get out the introductions. Tonight, we are honored to have a guest this evening, Chad Sorenson. He's the president-elect for HR Florida, as well as the president of his own business doing HR. And he said today he's busier than he could be, ever possibly thought he could be at one given time, Adaptive Solutions, so HR Adaptive Solutions. So if you get a chance, go ahead and give a little shout out to everybody. Let us know about you and some great experiences that you've had in the history of HR test taking.
A great history in HR. All right. Well, like you said, I've been doing I had my own company for a little over 12 years now. I started during the middle of the 2008 recession, which is the perfect time to start your own company. Always a challenge. But let's see here. Going back to certifications, I think I got my first certification in 2001. Back when we didn't have computers to do that on, we had to do it on a piece of paper. And we had to wait weeks and weeks and weeks for results. But in terms of my business, I do a whole gamut of HR, anything from leadership development to management training. I'm an outsourced HR director. I also do a lot of stuff in terms of performance management with companies and developing programs and doing a lot of things with HR compliance. And since March, anything and everything to deal with COVID.
Yeah, you spoke at the local chapter here, St. Lucie County HR Association. It was the new PC, right? Post coronavirus.
Coronavirus, yes, the new PC, post coronavirus.
That was very catchy. Nice job on that.
Hey, thanks. No time to come up with
that. All right, so the way we're going to kind of roll is we'll go through the questions. I'll read it, and then we'll get the answers. We did have a request this past week that we give a few minutes after we get the question right, which we get them all right. So if we were to get one, after we get it right, for everybody to get a chance to look at the screen and see the rationale for why it was correct, not just because Chad said so, but because this rationale is the correct, it's the most correct.
I just want to let you guys know that while I have my SPHR and my SCP, I make everything up as I go along. So this may or may not be a good thing for you guys, and you know, Doug asked me when did I take my test? Well, I took the first one way back when, the PHR, and I had to, like I said, wait. I think it was 6 weeks for the results to go into the mail.
On a piece of paper, though. That was the funny part.
But that was for my PHR, and then I took my SPHR, and I went to the Prometric testing systems centers, and I went in. I took the test. What do you get? 3 or 4 hours to do the test? 4 hours. I did it in 3. So I took time. I read through it, made sure I answered everything. Not a problem. But then what happened was it said click next to start the calculation and to take a survey. And I clicked next, and I got a blue screen of death on my computer screen. Everything was blue. It was gone. And of course, there are people all around me. No. And while they're taking their test, I can't say anything. So I'm like, and I'm trying to get the monitor's attention. She comes over. I point to my screen like, what? She goes, so I go out, and I said, did everything I just do disappear, or is it still there? She goes, I don't know.
Oh
See
my
if I can
God.
find out. And I was like, that's not good enough for me. She goes, well, here's the number, and they can tell you. And I'm like, but. And they're like, we'll see what we can do on our end. So I go outside, I make the phone call, and they said, we're not going to know the results for 3 to 4 weeks. I said, but the testing window ends in 3 days. Because, of course, you know, I procrastinated and I waited.
No, last day.
They said, go back in and see if you can get something. They told me to call you. We can't do anything for you. I go back in. I said, ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm not leaving until I know whether I have to come back tomorrow and take this whole test again. And she goes, I'm on the phone with the help desk. They're getting to me right now. Hold on. All right, they have your test results. Everything's fine. So she then prints them out, signs a piece of paper, flips it over, and gives it to me. And then I look at it, I'm like, I don't want to know.
Oh, the answer right there?
And then I flipped it over, and I had passed.
Oh, congrats.
Oh, tell me about, you know, your heart dropping out. I'm like, what?
I think I probably would have flipped the desk over, man. I don't think I could have contained myself to wait
It
till
was
the
one of those big counters that you flip over.
something to make you feel better. At least you got out of there passing. I was so happy when I passed mine. I forgot to get my keys and wallet out of the locker. I had to go back in and get it back. All right. All these years, I never heard about that blue screen of death. Oh man.
Oh, that was horrible.
All right. So let's see. Let's get rolling. It got me all excited thinking about wondering if you were going to get the results in 6 weeks or not. You think you would have taken it again?
I definitely would have. I would have taken it again the next day.
The next day, yeah.
Yep. It's already in my head, and it's not going to stay there for long. So I got to hurry up and take it.
So that means you Google all the answers before you take Chad's advice. I think that's what we're going to go with. All right. So we'll roll through the questions. If any kind of insight that you have, you know, if anybody is on their screen that wants to has a burning answer that they want to yell out, or if they just want to put their ABCD over on the screen in the chat box, I'm open to anything. As long as we're learning, continue to move forward. So the first section's on strategic principles, and it's got 7 questions in it.
Now, I want to make sure everyone also knows Doug never sent me an agenda, so I didn't even know what we were going to be talking about today.
I had it up on the screen. I totally got stuck in the county attorney's office. I quickly made it, so it is. Yeah, you're right. I did not send it out. I gave it to the other people. I told them what it was going to be last week, but I screwed up. I'm sorry, Chad. I was hoping I could get away with that off camera and recording. All right. Strategic principles. A group of applicants is given the same assessment at the same time across 3 consecutive days. Which statistical strength of the assessment is being measured with this method? Force rating, validity, reliability, or standard deviation?
Doug, the question went off the screen. We see your agenda.
Really?
There it is.
It's back now?
Yes.
Oh. Do I need to repeat it? Or are we good?
We can see it.
Nope, can't see it.
Answer? Anyone?
Technology.
I see it.
All right, statistic principles. So force rating, validity, reliability, or standard deviation. They're looking for the same exact test across 3 consecutive days. Remember, when you're taking the test and you go into the machine and the computer, you can cross out the wrong ones if you'd like to do that first. You can always skip them and come back as long as.
I see.
So I got a B over the screen real quick with validity. So if that's the first answer there, a couple more people looking about B. So validity is about the reason you're saying the validity is because across the 3 same days, 3 consecutive scores, or what?
I think the key here is the same time over 3 consecutive days, the same assessment, same time, the same group of people over a period of number of days. Oh, there's the chat box, so I can see all of it.
So the only other choice in my mind would be the reliability of the test, but that would talk about, they would have to tell you more exam pass or fail. You know, if it passed every time, it would prove to be reliable. So you would kind of kick that one out. The rating doesn't even come into effect. So I would go to validity.
Not a forced rating, so it's easy to get that out of there.
All right, so I'm going to go with validity. We good?
I think so.
Out of the gate, it's the reliability. Did I say it's definitely not reliability?
You did, but here's the thing: when you take a look at something, when you're taking a look at statistics, reliability. Am I getting the same answer every time? Is this test reliable based on when I'm giving the test, based on what happens?
On a consistent basis.
Right.
All right. Which feature should HR incorporate into the pre-employment test for a position that requires a high degree of accuracy, with any mistakes by the incumbent being dangerous? High reliability, environmental factors, high validity, fairness of evidence.
Oh, we haven't seen that question yet. It didn't pop up on your screen. There we go.
What am I doing different?
We got it now.
High reliability, environmental factors, high validity, fairness, and evidence. The test for the position that requires a high degree of accuracy. Anyone? Bueller?
With any mistakes by the incumbent being dangerous.
So people die.
Maybe not that dangerous.
What kind of test do you want if it's going to be, it could be super dangerous if they don't answer the right question.
So we go through here. What can we eliminate?
Well, about reliability a couple minutes ago. Got that one out of the way. People are taking, they got C's and A's and B's going all over the place over here. So I blew the last one. I'm kind of nervous on the edge of my seat here. I want to say it again, but I'm not going to.
Why?
C. Do you want something with high validity if you could take a chance of hurting yourself? Or do you care if it's reliable or not?
Well, when you take a look at a high validity, is it accurate to the situation? Is it accurate to the position? Is it a valid test for what's going to be happening? In other words, any mistakes that happen by the incumbent are dangerous. The last part of it, you want to make sure that what happens or what they test is exactly what the job is or the incumbent would do.
I buy that, but are we on reliable or validity?
Well, so far you've got a C, C, and C. You got 3 C's, 2 A's, and a B.
Yep, and a last a C. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, 3. What do you got? You got a C in there?
Nope. So far, that's what they say, so hit it.
Yes. 1 in a row, guys. 1 in a row.
Because it's not necessarily the reliability side of things. As it says here, is there a link between the test and the performance? So in other words, is the test valid for the job? So that's what we're looking for in that one.
So a skills test. You don't want to have somebody that says, "Oh yeah, I can run that backhoe." They've never been on one before.
Exactly. Or you take no. Even if they say that, the result should be valid because it shows that that's what's truly being measured. In other words, if you're going to be testing for a backhoe, I'm not going to test you on your typing skills.
Right. Here's a chainsaw. See if you can run that backhoe.
Thank you.
An HR director is reviewing a company's performance management criteria and questionnaires. He finds that questions to determine an employee's level of accountability do not match the manager impressions of accountability, suggesting that the questionnaire may not be providing accurate data. What statistical principle may be violated during performance reviews? Measurement, validity, reliability, or performance? Didn't we just do this one?
They're all very similar.
right?
And there are all these little nuances.
If you cut out something where he finds that the questions to determine the employee's level of accountability do not match with the manager impressions of accountability, suggesting that the questionnaire may not be providing accurate data. So the questionnaire is either not reliable or valid. There's where we're at. Companies for managers criteria and questionnaires.
So far, you got a B.
I got a B on there. I see a B quick out of the gates. That's what I was going with, but we just had that was the answer last time, right? So then, does it matter about the company's performance management criteria on questionnaires where they got performance down here?
Well, that's what he's looking at.
Right.
So the questions to determine their level of accountability don't match with the manager's impressions of accountability.
What's reliability?
Reliability?
I think it's reliability.
Doreen says reliability.
3 people, they say validity.
I see B. I see a lot of B there, Doreen.
Yeah, I see.
But when we take a look at it, you know, the last one that we just did, we said, is this a valid test for what we're looking at? Now, are these questions reliable or are they valid? What's the measurement and performance is probably the 2 that we cross off.
I would think so too. There's too much in the question about those 2, but I don't know. I see a bunch of B's. We're going with B. Doreen, I'm sorry. The B's have it. Oh, close. Instrument to measure what is intended to measure. All right. The ability.
Reliable, are you getting the same results?
That's right. All right, for the next 4 questions, we got this. So the HR manager is asked by the vice president of HR to define and implement a simulation-based assessment center that uses specially trained observers to rate each candidate's performance. The need is to assess which employees have potential for promotion into management. The VP of HR is familiar with this practice, having used the technique in a prior company, and she sees the assessment center as the best practice innovation. The VP of HR is new and comes from a large but entirely domestic organization with an aging workforce. Her new company is a global organization with 8 operations located around the world. It is highly diverse in the terms of ethnicity, and the average worker is probably 15 to 20 years younger than the VP of HR is used to. In researching methodologies, the HR manager stumbles onto an online assessment system that requires no trainers and raters, takes 75% less time to complete the assessment center process, and has a higher validity and reliability as the assessment technique. What should the HR manager do with the information he has uncovered? Create a business case, including a cost-benefit analysis of both options, forward materials about the online option to the VP of HR and let her make her own decision. Put aside as an option that is not viable now, but should be researched further as a possible tested. Move forward with the option that he deemed to be the best.
Don't you love questions like this?
Yeah. I never go to my boss and say, well, tell me what you want me to do. So that's not, I don't think B is an option.
Good answer. No B.
No B. I see a lot of A's, and that's the first one that the business case is usually the best thing if you're going to present it and say, this is the 2 of them, and this is why we select this option, and then they can make their decision. I like that as an option, but move forward with the option that he deemed to be the best. So just forget about what you found on the internet.
So this really doesn't have a lot to do with statistical principles. It's what, as an HR manager, should you do? Just throw it on the VP? Probably not. Put it aside. That's not viable? No, because that's just throwing it away and telling me I don't want to do it. And move forward with the one they determine best. Well, I think in anything we do, and one of the things I always talk about when I'm talking to HR folks, we need to speak their language. We need to talk the language of business. So we need to be able to make a business case. And in all terms, what is the C-suite talk? What's their language? What's the language of the C-suite? It's money. The number 1 would say, include a cost-benefit analysis in terms of what you're trying to do. But it's also the business case, which talks about both the reliability and the validity.
So A.
So far, all your people say A, so I think it's A.
Nailed it. That was a good explanation, though. I like how you used the C-suite in there.
Like I told you, I make everything up as I go along.
Hey, it sounded good, man. Put a PowerPoint together on that. VP of HR's decision making by analyzing and comparing economic and non-economic costs and the benefits of the two approaches. Present the case. Given that the VP of HR has already indicated a preference for the assessment center approach, what would be the most effective way to reopen the options for this project? The HR should lobby the other VPs to convince the VP of HR to consider other options.
Be against you.
HR managers should emphasize the business needs met by the online assessment option that are not provided by the traditional method. The HR manager should urge the VP of HR to experience the online option by completing an online assessment herself. Not bad. The HR manager should conduct a small pilot study on his own to present actual company-related data rather than manufacturer's claims. Not bad either. I was waiting for it. Take them out to the bar, get a couple drinks in them, and then you get the answer. That wasn't one of the choices, so see what the people put. I got a couple C's. Oh, somebody meant to say D instead. Sorry about that. Let's see spring.
So we got a D, a C, and a D.
Yep.
Ignoring the wrong C.
Right. So before I read D, I liked C. So the pilot study.
Funny. Here's one of the things when you're taking the test. All four answers can be correct, which is horrible. It's what is the most correct answer. And when you go through that, a lot of this also depends on what your life experience has been, what your experience has been in the working world, what your experience has been with different bosses. So when you're taking the test, you kind of have to put that to the side a little bit and really figure out, just based on, if I had to look at a textbook way of doing this, what's the best way to do that? Not the way I've always done it, because it may not be the best way.
That's a fact, especially when you get into the employee relations part of this program. I'm always the one that tries to get around the problem, to get the easiest sometimes of the way, but it's not always the right way to go.
So D wins out in terms of the voting.
I think.
By the way, there are 16 people on, and 2 of us are talking, and there's only about 4 people answering each one of them. So 12 of you don't want to answer. I want to know why.
Jason's on here. He's always our word of reason somewhere. He's on here. He's the one that comes through when we have the biggest problems. We can't decide. There it is, Jason in the middle there.
All right, so D is the one they want.
D. P. Of course it was B. HR manager should emphasize the business needs met by the online assessment options that are not provided by the traditional method. B is the correct answer. It's objective and focuses on the business needs. Business needs. We are in the business section.
So this is one of those that says D, that it usurps the VP authority. It can be seen as a challenge to the authority, as opposed to making the business case. Now, frankly, I would have chosen D as well. I would have gotten it wrong.
What would be the best criteria to use in deciding whether to implement either or both assessment alternatives? Validity in the predicting success of the accessibility to all qualified employees. Opinions from a few of the HR manager's friends who have used the system in their company. Cost effectiveness and the number of employees who can be assessed in each period. Acceptance by users and time required for the assessments. So they like the shorter test. Or cost effectiveness.
A.
All right, there's a country never heard from before. Who was that? A. All right. Validity in predicting success and accessibility to all qualified employees. So I got a valid test. A couple A's there, Chad. Should I go A?
So let me just talk about validity and reliability one more time, because this is one of those topics, and I found something that explains it well. When we're taking a look at statistics, reliability measures the reproducibility of the results.
Yes.
Validity describes the testability to produce the results consistent with other measures? In other words, are the results consistent when I'm measuring it against something else? So is it a valid test for what I'm doing? Reliability is repeatability, R&R. Validity tells me, is it valid to the test? Is it valid to, is this measuring criteria valid to the actual performance of what we're looking for?
So this test takes 75% less time to take, and it has a higher validity and a higher reliability as an assessment technique. So the alternative is the one that they're saying is way better. Which one?
Everyone says A. Let's find out.
A. All right. Nice job, team. A is the best answer. Validity is crucial to identify employees with true potential, and the accessibility is critical in a global organization. All right. In this situation, what ethical considerations should be most highly considered in crafting a talent assessment tool? Attention to fair access only, opportunities for minority groups, alignment with the talent development strategy, definition of criteria for success in management positions. So, attention to fairness only. So, if it's
C.
alignment and talent development strategy. All right, we got a solid C coming out of there. A couple A's in the several A's over there. Kind of where I was going.
Those are for the last one, I believe.
Alignment with the talent development strategy. There's that word. C as it is.
What ethical considerations should be most highly considered in crafting a talent assessment tool? So we take a look at fair access only. That's ethical consideration again. Opportunity for minority group. There's a lot of different groups, a lot of different things. So I'm not sure that that's it. Alignment with the strategy. Yes, you're right. The word align. And definition of criteria for success in management positions.
Opportunities for minority groups. B.
So we got a C, a C, a C, and a B.
Well, I see another C popped in there. We're going to go with the alignment. And it was D.
So the strategy is overall. What? And the strategy takes care of everything. I'm waiting for the result for the explanation of it.
D is the best answer. The definition of criteria for success is important since the overt or hidden bias can shape the criteria in such a way that candidates are unfairly excluded from the opportunities.
So remember when he said an ethical issue. Aligned strategic is business. The ethical is where it came in, because when we're talking about strategy, we're saying find strategy important, and that's a business goal. When we talk about strategic planning, we're talking about business planning. Now, we have to take other things into consideration when we're looking at that. But in this case, we understand why they talk about the success in management positions. We want people to be successful. We want those roles to be successful. So they're kind of putting the ethical side in there. I think it's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Everything they do, but.
Well, remember that on the test. All right, finish. So we got another one we can crank out here.
So we're out of statistics.
Yeah, thank God. Data management tools.
You're supposed to say that with a smile on your face.
That's why I was in the math major.
All right, you guys. Oh wait, where are we? Oh, you got.
You see the screen? What best describes the appearance of a distribution curve in a data set with a low standard deviation? High and narrow, flat and long, short and tapered, wide and bell-shaped. Appearance of distribution curve in a data set with a low standard deviation. So it's pretty accurate, right? Maybe. Distribution curve in a data set with low standard deviation. Doesn't that mean it hits the mark every time?
Hold on. A low standard deviation, think about it this way. A low standard deviation means we don't have really far highs and really far lows. We bring it all in together, right?
Yep.
Everyone's at a certain percentage.
So wide and
Is it flat and long? Or is it high and narrow?
yeah, or yeah.
It's A. I think it's A. It's high and narrow.
Because when you take a look at it, your standard deviation, if you have ranges going from all the way 20% to 100%, you've got a lot of deviation from where it is. If you've got most
No, it's
everyone
B.
85%, you've got a low deviation, right?
Right.
Which means
Still not buying it. If it's flat, so if it's long and flat, right, that means everybody's just hitting the mark. Nobody's up and down. It's not anywhere. As opposed,
no,
it's a
low
bunch
and flat, 20%'s over here, 100%'s way over here. But if everyone is right in the same area,
of nailing
you've
it.
got a low deviation.
Talk me out of it. It was just so with the whole gestures. I mean, I totally like changed my mind. Anybody? Jason, tiebreaker. Well, I got a C. Somebody said C. Short and tapered. I could go with a wild bell shape too. You know what I mean?
Wide is big again.
That's it.
All right, pick one.
It's all over the board now. C. Short and tapered. Well, you know what? Chad's the president, right? Very shortly.
No.
President-elect. Nailed it. You can make it. That's why you got the SHRM-SCP right there. Nailed it.
No, actually, I was able to do the pathway. I didn't even have to take the test.
Nice job. Nice job. In a low standard deviation data curve, the data is grouped more tightly around a center value, just like the man said. All right, I remember this question. The HR managers evaluate the salaries in the logistics department. What is the mode of the salaries value? 55, 55, 55, 55, 60, 60, 60, 63, 65, and 65. So what are you going to do for the mode, the median, the average? What do you think? 55.
I'm waiting for my screen to update. I have no idea what you're talking about yet.
How is that weird? How is it doing that? What do you?
Has everyone else got a delay on the screen updating, or is it just me?
I don't know. It's probably got something to do with this agenda.
So,
All right.
median, mode, mean.
1, 2,
Yeah,
3,
55.
4 55s, 3 60s, a 63, 65, 65.
What's the most common number?
Occurs the most, yes, sir.
Mode, 4 letters. Most, 4 letters.
That's right. Yes, sir. The mode is the most frequently occurring. I like the mode the most. Yes, sir. The HR department is calculating the average employee compensation for each employee in the company. What measure of central tendency should be used to determine this? The mean, the median, the midpoint, or the mode? Average employee compensation for each position in the company. Average. Which one is that? Mean, right? Mean, average.
I'm waiting to see it. It might just my internet connection, probably.
I don't know. Can everybody
Yeah,
All
else
right, here we go.
questions? I see a lot of A's firing out of there. Mean is average, if you ask me, but
Yep.
central tendency kind of throws you off a little bit because they want to know. I don't know. They ask each position, so it says each compensation for each position in the company. So you got an HR manager, an HR generalist, and how many of those? Each one of those do you have? That's my concern. I like A. I see A, means. Chad, mean?
I like it.
Moving on. The mean is synonymous with average. The mode is the number that occurs most frequently, and the median is the middle number in the data set. The midpoint is used when calculating the median. It is not a measure of central tendency. Small division of a company lacks a formal compensation structure for employees. Due to the recent recruitment and retention challenges, the division recognizes the need to review newly hired and existing employees' pay rates to ensure market competitiveness and internal equity among staff. For a number of years, the division has lacked human resources support and relied upon the general managers to determine initial pay rates for the new hires as well as promotional rates for internal staff based on the amount of hours worked and the employee's attendance record. No pay ranges currently exist, and leaders have the discretion to pay whatever fits within their budget. Nice. And on occasion, a human resources representative from another division has offered general advice on pay practices to the division's leadership. However, they have their own divisional responsibilities, and therefore there has been very little oversight. The divisional president is considering whether or not to bring in a contracted human resources leader to research, design, and implement appropriate pay structure for all positions. What should the division president be concerned about having a compensation structure? A compensation structure will enhance the strategic business partnership between human resources and finance. The human resources structure can help to reduce the turnover by offering competitive salaries to attract new talent while promoting fair pay practices to retain tenured staff. C, the president shouldn't be concerned since the organization has survived so long without having a formal compensation structure in place. D, a compensation structure will educate leaders on how to budget for new hires in the future.
We've got a lot of B's on the screen already. I think you can move on with life.
Lot of
B.
pay
That was
compression.
a fairly easy one, right?
Right out of the gates. B.
If they could only all be so easy.
Right, the recruitment and retention issues to impact
Yes.
overall organization's objectives. What should the human resources leader do to establish new pay ranges? Compare and contrast and analyze multiple different benchmark data sources to design a new wage structure that is best for the organization. Apply a cost of living adjustment to one data source, favoring the source over any others. Use the source data to identify compliance issues that have existed for many years. Focus on the judgmental forecasting, using the general managers as primary source to develop pay ranges. There's a good one. All right, so we're looking to find out what would the human resources leader do to establish pay ranges besides research. I like analyze.
A.
You analyze it first, right? See some A's over there, Chad. Compare,
Just
analyze.
popped up on mine. Yeah, let's not do B and just pick the one that we like the most. Although I will tell you, when you are doing compensation evaluations like that, sometimes you get a data set that's a year old. You do have to place a cost of living on just to make sure it brings it up to current.
Compare, contrast, analyze. Correct. A is the best response. It is important to consider multiple sources, particularly if the job titles are unique.
It's also important when you're doing that, and it may be a question, take a look at the industry, take a look at the geographical region, and also take a look at the company size, whether it's employees, FTE, or revenue, and/or revenue.
Money available. How should the HR leader address the information uncovered in relation to the promotional pay practices? How should the HR leader address the information uncovered in relation to the promotional pay practices? Implement a wage structure program considering employees' insights and suggestions. Be transparent and share the information with all employees during the company meeting. Benchmark multiple data sources and recommend comprehensive structure for all positions. The HR leader should not worry about this practice as it has worked for the other organizations.
So it's nice that the options, you get a 1/3 chance of getting it right when you can knock one out.
Just hammer one right out of there. Benchmark multiple data sources and recommend a comprehensive structure for all positions.
Yes, that's the one.
You don't want to just share all the information with all the employees right away. Here's what we found. Bob's overpaid and Marcia's underpaid.
That's right. He only gets a bigger level of pay because he works more hours. All right.
Yeah.
We got the C's have it. Benchmark data. All right. C is the best response. Multiple data sources should be considered when developing a new comprehensive compensation structure. Last question in this section. How should the HR leader approach analyzing internal equity among the other employee population as part of the compensation structure project? A, keep the pay rates of the current employees the same and focus on those hired going forward. Possibility. Reviewed employees' rates of pay to determine if they are appropriately positioned within the range. Recommend that the new hired employees be paid a minimum rate of pay when joining new organizations. Focus on non-monetary items and other benefits to reward tenure and address internal pay equities. That's a pretty good answer.
Definitely B.
B, all right. Coming out of the gates there. Review employees' rates of pay and determine if they are appropriately positioned within the range. That's good because you're determining internal equity among other employees in the population, so I like that. Any other B's over there, Chad?
Just looking at them.
Another
It's
B.
funny because there are certain things in addition to that you should be doing, yes.
When did they
approaching analyzing internal equity, review their rates of pay, they are appropriately positioned. Because you might have some people who are above, and you're not going to knock them down.
No. But that's why I like that D as the answer because it's coming up with other ways. Maybe they flex a couple people, some days or something. Maybe they come up with a way because if they're overpaid, they've been just getting overpaid for so long. What are you going to do?
Well, and remember, this is how should you approach analyzing.
Yeah, that would be more making the decision, right? A lot of B's over there, Chad.
I would say it.
Review the employees' rates of pay. The B's have it. Right. Understanding where current employees are in the range is a key first step when analyzing internal equity. Right.
Okay, we're done with data measurement. Let's get
Moving
into
along.
stuff.
It's got to be the fun one here sometime, right?
Is there a COVID section?
Data management tools. Data analysis tools. COVID. How do HR analytics differ from HR metrics? HR analytics provide context to data. HR metrics correlate multiple data. HR metrics interpret captured data. HR analytics record linear data. I got confused after two.
A.
HR analytics provide context to data. Yeah, so they're gonna, but the analytics are taking all the answers and trying to find matches, right? So you're trying to.
Right, because analytics interpret information. They correlate. They do not record, but they provide context.
B's yelling at me there, but I see 2 A's, 3 A's.
You're right. It's good.
A's good? Right.
And if it wasn't, we tell them they're wrong.
I went too fast, sorry. How should an HR professional use trend analysis? To assess the effectiveness of an organization development efforts, to plan possible responses to change in labor supply, to align organizational and HR strategies, to understand how the organization's policies can be adapted globally. How should an HR professional use trend analysis? C or A, I like that. Options. A would be to assess the effectiveness of organization development efforts. So trend analysis, they're finding out where things are going. So I'm in the middle of renewing with Florida Blue, and we budgeted for a 9% trend. We came in at 4.5%. We look at year after year on how we're doing. We're trying to see where it's going to get us. how we're going to do in the future, how I can spend that money that I had budgeted.
Or in this case, like A says, organizational development efforts. We've been doing this for the last years. Are our trends moving in the right direction?
Are they moving in the right direction?
Definitely A. Yeah.
Yep.
I like it. Except when it's B. Trend analysis
Wow.
has patterns in the past and future projects conditions based on those patterns. For example, HR can see when declines in certain types of degrees will become problematic for the organization and require strategic response. Trending bad, what are you going to do? Cut the
That's
labor.
wrong.
That's wrong.
We've had wrong answers before from the. I understand why she thinks that one's wrong. An HR strategic planning team wants to see what effects on payroll will be if the management realigns production capacity in different ways. Excuse me. Which analytical tool should HR use? So the strategic planning team wants to see what efforts to see what the effects on payroll will be if management realigns production capacity in different ways. Variance analysis, root cause analysis, scenario analysis, or trend analysis.
So we can rule out root cause analysis.
Roots out.
And frankly, we could rule out trend because we're looking at different scenarios, correct?
That's right.
However, would they call it a variance analysis or a scenario analysis?
My Paylocity friend might know the answer.
Variance. Isn't it between two variables? Variance analysis?
Which analytic tool? It's management realigns production capacity in different ways.
So management has 3 different ways that they could do it.
3 types of scenarios. Oh, variance.
A or C? A or C? Vote.
C's coming out of there. C. That's a damn good question. A or C? What do we got?
I would do C personally.
Me too.
Yeah, C. I would do it, yeah.
Another C popped up. There we go. Scenario. 3 different types of options. And when you said that, it clicked, Chad. It just clicked. Appropriate tool here.
Here's the difference. Here's the variance difference. If we had completely different, was that lightning there, Spring? Okay, because your whole computer screen flashed. My wife just said the storm is knucking butts. Happening at our house. But so a variance analysis. If I speed it up or if I slow it down, if I'm changing a variable, then that's there. But in this case, it says realign production capacity in different ways. I'm looking at completely different scenarios. So I'm not changing a variable, I'm changing the whole thing.
The whole thing. Next 3 questions. The CEO of a fast-growing startup company is worried that the company will not have a skilled workforce needed in the future to keep up with the dynamic needs of the business, and ask the HR manager to anticipate and plan for workforce gaps. The HR manager has been partnering with educational institutions, other businesses, and the local workforce development office to get more information about anticipated skills gaps to develop an action plan. These resources have been supportive, but are unsure of what the skills might be needed and when the gaps will exist. The HR manager must navigate this uncertainty and provide a plan to the CEO. What action should the HR manager take to define the scope of the workforce needs? A, request a report from the local workforce development office on in-demand occupations. Ask current employees what training they feel is most needed for their jobs. Ask educational institutions to identify the skills that they feel are the most critical in the future. Meet with the CEO to discuss the company's goals for the future. What action should the HR manager take to define the scope of the workforce needs? So they're trying to figure out what they're going to need in the future.
So the company's worried that they're not going to have a skilled workforce in the future to keep up with everything going on. They've been partnering with education institutions and businesses to get more information about anticipated skills gap and develop an action plan. In other words, what can the company do to help? These resources have been supported but unsure of what skills might be needed and when these gaps will exist. So the educational institutes don't know when the gaps will exist. The HR manager needs to navigate this. So what good does a report from Workforce Development Office talking about in-demand occupations do?
Yeah, Michelle Green would differ from us on that with the career source.
And B is probably not there.
So we're down to 2. Ask educate.
Who's going to know the workforce need? It's going to be the CEO, right?
Yeah, if he finds out where he's going to be taking it, I mean, maybe they're going to start making different kinds of widgets or something. I don't know. And he knows what he's looking for. And
yep.
I mean,
everyone else, I'd say it's D.
I think C's out because they're already part of that.
Right. I agree with everyone else. Make it D.
D for diploma.
Oh, Karen. Oh, wait, 2 Karens. Okay. Say Karen can't make up her mind, but there's 2 of them.
D is correct. To begin the demand analysis of strategic workforce planning, a clear understanding of the strategic direction of the organization is critical. Next question. The HR manager has identified the most critical skills that will be needed. All right. Which is the most effective approach to developing the workforce? Implement a bonus program that rewards employees for developing critical skills. Provide managers with a list of skills and ask them to mentor employees on them. Assess current employees with critical skills to identify gaps that exist. Tell employees which skills are needed and ask them to refer to people who have these skills. Oh, go ask Chad, he can help you. Assess. I like assess when you're trying to do something, which is the most effective approach for developing the workforce. He's already identified the skills that will be needed, so I guess it's not assess, right?
Well, hold on. Has identified the skills that will be needed.
So this guy, so then he wants to know how to fill the gaps with the current.
So what is the most effective approach to develop the workforce? We know what is needed. Now, what's the most effective approach to develop that workforce?
Cash. Give them a bonus. So if you've identified the skills that are needed, and then you have people in your workforce that can do that, then you fill those gaps, and then you can train people to work along with that guy would be your next step, right?
You mean you just did a gap analysis?
Skills gap, yeah.
What's needed? What do we have? That's what I would choose. We got a C, we got a C, we got a B, we got a C, we got a C. 2C.
I'm liking C. There we go. We're on a roll. The HR manager learns that other businesses in the same industry are sourcing candidates who have a rare, highly technical skill set because it was recently promoted in the press. What steps should the HR manager take first after learning of this? Interview managers at the company to obtain their perceptions about the need for this skill set. Ask local schools if the curriculum is focused on developing the skill set among the students. Suggest to the CEO that obtaining this skill set would make the company more competitive. Ask the local workforce development office if they agree with the assessment of the skill set as critical. So it was in the newspaper, so it's got to be.
I think E, discredit the other organization in the media.
I don't switch to Fox News or something. I don't know, whatever they're saying. Interview managers at the company to obtain their perceptions about the need for this skill set. So if they already know that it's out there and it's rare and they really want it because it's work in other places, what do? You offer 50 more cents an hour and you steal their employees.
So A talks about working internally to find out, is that the right perception? Because just because it's in the news or in the press doesn't mean that it's true. We've done that turn on. Ask local schools if their curriculum is focused on developing the skill set. Well, are we just following the leader and playing along with what someone else does? Suggest the CEO that obtaining the skill set can make the company more competitive. So in HR, we know best what's going to make the company most competitive, right? And then finally, ask the local workforce development office if they agree. Again, what's important for your company?
Right. Interview managers at the company to obtain their perceptions about the need for the skill set.
Your answers so far, I think, are CCAA.
I like A, but I don't think I'd go to the CEO and say, hey, last night on the news, I saw that, the company down the road's got this really cool idea and I bet you it could work. What's he going to say? Did you do any kind of data analysis? Did you, that's my answer. Show me proof,
Okay. So far, A is winning.
So that, if you go back to the managers and you say, hey, what do you think if we had this, would it work? Is it worth going after? You want to try it? I don't know. A's have it? Nope. Yes, maybe?
Yes, A's have it.
And it's C. Oh, no, it's A. Validation. Anecdotal data demonstrates a solid understanding of how to use the data to make accurate, evidence-based decisions.
So here's one of the things that I talk about during one of my training sessions about strategy in the workplace. As HR professionals, are you reading your professional journals? And I'm not talking about HR Executive and the HR Magazine. I'm talking about whatever industry you're in. So if you're in the chemical manufacturing industry, are you reading chemical and engineering news or chemical news? If you're in the transportation and logistics side, are you reading the trucking magazines and the port magazines, logistics magazines? Because that's where you're going to learn about other things. And when you learn about those other things and go back to your manager and have a conversation, what you're doing is trying to validate the information that you learned, find out if it's applicable here. If it is, then you can act on it.
Stay informed. I like that. Either that or just watch what the county next to you is doing and steal all their stuff. So you guys did pretty dang good today. I don't think we missed but like 3 or 1. I'm not sure. Probably the one that I missed.
We didn't agree with the ones we got wrong.
Yeah, they're under review. So I think you guys did an amazing job tonight. I appreciate your guys' time tonight. We're getting close to our hour, and I got a couple of little things that I wanted to go through real quick, and then we'll give Chad a few minutes here at the end. But how about Chad and talking us through some of those questions? All right, here we go. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. It's always nice to pull in somebody that you see throughout your organization and part of HR Florida. He's got these insights and things that he's doing, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and going over some of that with us. And hopefully, some of these you guys that are on this screen here are sitting at their test and they're like, I remember Doug and Chad missed that answer altogether, so I'm going to go with B, and they get it right. So hopefully that happens to you guys and you get all the answers right when it's all over with. But I appreciate all you guys and everything you did tonight and throughout the 4-week session. I know if you got your test coming up, I'm rooting for you. Make sure you get your name in the hat as soon as you pass so we can get you a chance to win that honorarium. So HR Florida has been kind enough to sponsor this program, and I'm very appreciative of that, Chad, and thank you guys very much for your leadership in helping us. So I would like to let Chad, recap a little bit for tonight and then tell us a little bit about HR Florida's coming up in about, I saw 25 days or 24 days from Terry yesterday. It's coming quick.
Woohoo!
So
if you guys have not signed up for HR Florida, of course, here's our little top hat for this year, because it's we've got a kind of a Cirque theme going on for our Tuesday night party. We're still doing it on site, but we're also doing it online. Tickets are still available. You can obviously still register and do that up through the day. A lot of people have asked about the safety of being on site. We were there 3 weeks ago now, and it is as safe as can be. When you get there, you're wearing masks. Osceola County right now requires masks when you are in public spaces, and a hotel is a public space, so you have to have a mask on. The registration will be spread out a little bit. We're going to maintain physical distancing. I hate social. We're going to maintain physical distancing. We're going to be doing all that. When you go to check in at the hotel, you don't even have to go to the check-in counter. If you have the app and you're a Marriott Bonvoy member, all you have to do is punch in that you're here. You'll get your room key on your phone. You go straight to your room. When you get to your room, once you're in your room, you're the only person in your room. Maid service doesn't come in. Housekeeping doesn't come in. They don't clean. You actually take your trash. If you have trash because you're there for a few days, put it outside. You can put your linens there. They're going to replace everything and give it to you, and you're going to take care of it yourself to keep them out of your room. Bellman, if you have bags being delivered up to your room, they'll bring them to your door. And Dine and Dash is a whole new concept. You order from room service, they knock on your door, and they run away. By the time you get to your door, they're not even there anymore. Your bags of food are sitting right there. Same food that you would have normally gotten, they're just right there. General session, it's spaced out. Each of the breakout rooms, all the rooms are at half capacity. So we're not going to overflow any of the rooms. And general session has been, expo hall, aisles widened, and there's more space between the booths, and we're using more space. We're spacing everything out so that way we can provide a safe environment. If Osceola County requires masks, we're going to require masks. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be there. We've been working with the SHRM bookstore, and they're going to have a presence there with a bunch of items that are available for sale. And like I said, general sessions with BJ Novak and Tyler Schultz and Ellen Latham are going to be great. We're excited about that. We're planning a lot of fun just like we normally do. Now, if you can't travel or don't want to travel, there's still an online option. And here's how that works. You're going to get a login. You're going to go in, and the entrance to this online option is the lobby of the Gaylord. That's what's all up there. And you click on general session, or you click on breakout concurrent sessions, or the expo hall, or the networking lounge. You'll be able to go into any one of those things. The programs will go live when they're scheduled. The difference this year is that the schedule for online isn't going to be the exact same schedule for in person, with the exception of keynotes. Keynotes will be broadcast live on the session. But for all the other ones, they're actually going to go at a different time than when they're going live. We like to have feedback with our speakers. I'm doing 2 of the sessions, and I'm recording them this week, and they're going to be put up there. But they're not going to go live until that scheduled time. So that way I can be sitting at a computer and interact in a live chat with you while my session's going on. So just like you would be in the room and you raise your hand, you can ask a question, and I'll be able to interact with you live. So we're providing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, full days for the online side. In addition, you'll have 90 days in which to be able to view all of the breakout sessions. If you're on site, you get 14 different session times that you get to go to. If you're online, you can watch over 100 sessions. If you're on site, you can also purchase the ability to watch the extra session that you couldn't go to because it was at the same time as another one that you wanted to go to. So we have a lot of different options. We've got a lot of fun that's going to happen if you're on site, and you've got a lot of information that's going to happen if you're online. So I hope you guys will be able to attend. By the way, we're the only state council in the nation doing both an online and an on-site state council conference. Everyone else has either moved to online or they did it before the shutdown.
Well, it's the way of the future with the online. So if we can master both of them, I mean, we're cornering the market.
And we're HR people. We need to see other people. So we're definitely going to be there.
Man, I miss it. Need that interaction. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we're going to do it safe. I mean, you know, I was joking with Heather Dariu, the president. I said, you don't want to be known as the HR Florida president that was a super spreader of COVID. So we're going to do everything necessary to help make sure you guys are safe. If you go online onto any of the social media channels, you can take a look at HR Florida's sites, and you can hear from the general manager of the Gaylord Palms. He met with him, and he talked about all the safety protocols they're doing. Restaurants are going to be open, but they separate you. When you get up to go, they're going to be buffets, but they're served buffets. You don't touch any of that stuff. They're doing it all for you. So it's all very, very safe. They've taken everything into consideration. And frankly, it's probably going to be cleaner than my house.
We couldn't have picked a better hotel to go to after a pandemic or during a pandemic. I mean, that place is just immaculate before that. So I can imagine after that. So I can't wait to see it. Chad, thanks for the rundown on it. I know it's going to be great. John Petz will be there again. That guy is just as
right.
Keeps us all going, and we're looking forward to it. I just want to close a little bit with thanking each of you guys for taking the time to show up week after week. Some of people have already taken the test, and their numbers are not back. It's an online test right now. You're not doing it in office, from what I understand. So if you do have the test, make sure you're squared away for that with your room and the cameras and all that kind of stuff. But
and here's my piece of advice for those of you who still have to take your test. Some people study right up until the night of the test. I say if you're taking your test on Monday, if you want to study through Saturday, fine. Take the day before off. Go to the beach. Don't go to work. If you're doing it on a Tuesday, don't go to work on Monday. Go to the beach. Go relax. Go do something other than study for the test, because at that point, you either know it or you don't, and you're going to freak yourself out. Relax, have a good meal the night before, get plenty of sleep the night before, and wake up just refreshed and saying, I got this. And I've given that advice to many, many people, and they're like, you know what, I was going to study right up until the night before. Well, you either know when the Davis-Bacon Act happened or you don't know when the Davis-Bacon Act happened. And the reason that we need to know when it, by the way, I don't remember when it happened, I just know that it's out there. I knew when I took the test because it was a question. But it's one of those things where just to put yourself in the right mindset, because the mindset will be just as important as the knowledge.
Well, you got me hyped up. I'm going to go take it now.
Thank you.
I've never taken it again.
If you pass it and you let it lapse, that's on you. So that's all I can say. There's too many ways to get credits these days, especially we just heard about it. You can get as many as you want. It only takes 60 to recertify. It sounds like we had 100 or something like that we're giving away online. So it's a pretty good option. So Chad, thank you very much for being here. The whole executive council, we had 4 throughout this session. If you're not scheduled to take this test during this window, we're going to host these cram sessions in the next session as well. We might spread them out so we can get a little more time throughout the window, but this window was extended quite a bit. So we're going to be evaluating when we're going to do the next session, and I think it went really well. I'm in the process of putting them all through the YouTube channel to add them into HR Florida's website, so they'll be up shortly so you can go on and laugh at all the ones that I missed, kind of count them up. Other than that, I don't have anything else. If anybody's got anything for the good of the group, we're going to call it a wrap and shut this session down.
Doreen, Karen, everyone, Emma, guys, thank you so very much. I've had a blast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Me
good luck.
too.
Good luck to everybody. It's been awesome. Thank you all, Chad. Thanks again, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Not a problem.